Welcome to the Poisoner's Cabinet. I'm Sinead.
And I'm Nick.
And this is your weekly podcast exploring the lives of the great poisoners, macabre murders, and captivating crimes from across the centuries, and creating curious cocktails inspired by the tales that we tell. And it's episode 212.
Well, hurrah.
2012.
2012.
Or 212.
No, not 2012 at all.
No, I know.
What are you talking about?
Lies. Yes. But I like to lie to you about numbers.
Yes, you do.
It's only because I fear them. How are you, Nick?
I'm hot and sweaty.
You're hot and sweaty.
Yes, hot and sweaty.
Tis the summer in England.
Tis the season for it.
Tis the season for the sweatiness.
For the hotty sweatiness.
Right, have you tried deodorant or a fan?
I mean, I did walk to work this morning, and I was always thinking, have I put deodorant on?
Lovely.
I was just like, I feel unnecessarily sweaty.
Do you put it all over? Sorry. I mean, well, it depends. If you have an aerosol, do you have a roll-on?
I have an aerosol.
I had an aerosol. I think that's one of the things that's exacerbated my chest, so I threw it out the window.
Right.
Literally. I actually threw it away like, oh, fuck, no.
So there we go. So yes, I am unnecessarily sweaty.
Okay. But also maybe necessarily because it's the summer.
Also that.
And invest in a fan.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm allowed to buy a fan.
You could buy a fan at any point. It was just the air conditioning unit that I thought might be a bit of an extravagance. The scale at which you wanted. You wanted a Dyson one.
Now I know I'm allowed to buy a fan.
Good, okay. Or just talcum powder. Go old school. And just
no, I don't
douse
want that.
yourself in talcum. I used to date someone who did that.
No.
Yeah.
So I was wandering around covered in a thick paste.
Yeah.
That's not at all
the relationship was interesting.
Brief.
I had very low standards.
Oh no, that's going to be all sort of... No.
Well, there we go. That's an image.
It's going to set like cement when it gets cool, surely.
How much do you think he was putting on?
Oh, I don't know.
It was a light dusting
You made
in
it
the
sound
areas.
like a great deal.
No, I wanted to traumatise you. But you're well anyway.
Yes.
Good.
Apart from that horrifying vision.
Well, any poisonings this week?
Probably.
Have I poisoned you with talcum powder?
Maybe.
With images of it.
Yes.
Well, speaking of being horrified by what your exes did and covering yourself in talcum powder, I think it is time for us to thank our delicious Patreon subscribers.
Yes, let's do that. Thank you very much this week to Merle Wetra.
To Mine Marcel, maybe Mini Marcel, but Mine Marcel.
To Courtney Moose.
Moose. To Donna Dalton.
And to Chris Hughes. Thank you very much.
I like they're good, sensible names this week.
Sensible names.
Sensible. The Moose is
the
there,
Moose.
It's just every time. There's never a time, and I'm sorry, Courtney, I know you've thrown it in there. There's never a time that it's not funny.
And
Moose.
you just go, the salmon moose.
And just shouting moose in Canada. Mooses are huge as well. It's one of my favourite things is to watch videos of moose.
They are
They're bigger
quite
than
gigantical.
cars. They're huge. But speaking of other huge things, I do have something on my phone, trust me.
What's she gonna show me?
Speaking of things that are bigger than cars, I'll cut this. We also have a shout out this week. The day that this episode airs, it is the birthday of our darling follower, Goblin. Full name, Goblin Sleeping in a Cave.
Yes, okay.
And I did approach Goblin and said, oh, would you like me to use another name? And they went, no, Goblin. It is their birthday today. Happy birthday. They don't normally celebrate birthdays, which means that people don't often say happy birthday. So let's give you the biggest happy birthday, and hopefully it will last through the ages. You can always listen back to this episode and have a big happy birthday. But Goblin, you are a delight. Happy birthday. We love you.
Yes, happy birthday.
Well, Nick, are you ready?
Probably.
To drink cocktails, talk about poison.
Probably should.
Or we can drink poison, talk about cocktails.
Let's do that too.
Okay, let's do it. We've had a pre-cocktail, haven't we? Should we go with the first one?
Yes.
Great. Cocktails. Hooray. It is Nick's story this week, and we can't possibly have a story without a cocktail in hand. As you know, dear listeners, every week we choose a secret ingredient that is inspired by the tale that we tell, and it will flavour our cocktail of the week. Nick, this week's secret ingredient is... Oh. People are excited.
So pleased when I found this.
People are so excited.
Is a veranda.
A veranda!
Yes.
A veranda?
Delightful veranda.
Oh my goodness. Could it be a magical floating veranda?
Well, we'll find out.
Oh, right. Anyone who's listening to this episode for the first time is like, this is all fucking funny. The floating veranda that came up in which episode,
Christ
people?
knows.
Because we wrote it down once. You all know that we came up with your grand veranda. I think Aunt Gordon appeared on it once.
Yeah.
But it
Who
is
knows?
sentient. It is just, it is an entity unto itself floating through space.
Dissipates space and time. It's just, yes.
But it is a very grand veranda. I don't know if that one will make an appearance.
It could just be a bog standard regular veranda, potentially.
No, there is no such thing.
No such thing.
There's always the potential for it to lift off.
This is true.
And actually researching the image for the cocktail picture, trying to find a veranda, people have very, very different ideas of what a veranda is. It was quite fun.
Yes, there's a wide variety. Yeah, and I think perhaps the veranda we're actually going to end up with in the story might be somewhat different to what people have in mind.
Well, according to Wikipedia, it is covered. It is a covered walkway in front of a house. Not quite a porch.
Not quite a porch.
Not quite a balcony. But put them together and you get a veranda.
You get a veranda.
With the veranda
Yeah.
as your ingredient, your inspiration, what have you come up with?
Well, I'm desperately looking to see if anyone's got a better suggestion than I have.
Right, okay.
On the...
Ooh, this is up to the wire, people.
It really is.
Because you guys never fail us in terms of suggestions.
Well, exactly. I mean, CRT 2TG always comes up with some bloody gems. So I'm going to have to Google that one now. So this is very exciting for everyone.
We should take this moment to say, every week when we do share the secret ingredient on Instagram, you are free to suggest cocktails because sometimes it's fun that you're trying to guess the episode or the cocktail. Also, Nick needs it sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I've got an idea of what I'm going to make, but if I can find a better one, then I'm all up for it. No, unfortunately, I can make neither of those, which makes me sad. You came up with some bangers, but unfortunately, I don't have the bits and pieces necessary for those two. So we're going to have to go with my, really dodgy connection.
If something comes up while Nick is making it, then we will flip.
Yeah.
But thank you for those who have suggested something. So what do we have, Nick?
So I was thinking...
You were thinking...
I was thinking...
Thinking too much gives you wrinkles.
Thinking, on my veranda.
Right.
Where am I going to be on my veranda?
Where are you going to be?
Where is my veranda?
Country or like...
Well, no, just generally where do I want my veranda to be?
In space.
In space? Oh no, it's not in space.
Okay, well,
in space.
The plains of America?
It's not on the plains of America.
Well, I don't know, in the deep south? Is it a colonial?
No, it's not. No, not that we're not going
just
colonial.
By a river? By a lake?
No, my veranda.
What is your veranda?
My veranda.
Is it next to a fucking musical hall?
Is on a private island.
Are you fucking kidding me?
So we're going to have a private island.
No. I can come up with something better than that.
Go do it.
I'm gonna.
Do it.
A private island with a veranda.
With a veranda.
The entire island is a veranda.
Yes. With one house right in the middle. The entire island is enclosed.
Oh my god. Serious, this was it.
It was last
You know
minute.
what goes on a veranda? A rocking chair.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
I'm telling... It was in the picture.
Yeah, but blah, 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 blah.
Good comeback. Have you thought of going into politics? Okay.
Is there a rocking chair cocktail?
Right, we are going... Wait, we can't do this anymore on air. Nick has so far suggested a private island. We are going to go into the Poisonous Cabinet kitchen and have a fight, and at the end of it, shake up a storm. So we'll see you in a minute.
I may not be back.
And we're back.
Hello.
So, Nick.
Yes.
We had a chat.
We did. You were horribly mean.
I wasn't horribly mean.
Horribly mean. I cried.
Yes, I disagreed with you once, and he went, "Oh my god, no one's ever been insulted this way in my life."
This is very true.
No, we had a discussion. The veranda cocktails that were available have ingredients we could not access.
Exactly.
I did find some interesting facts out about a veranda midway through. That the railing that you have around a veranda, if it's got a flat top, it's called a cocktail rail. And then I started looking up rail things, and then it all got a bit confusing. But we decided to go. I do have something in the back of my head. Maybe if we require a cocktail later on.
Off you go.
No, but it's more of an in-joke. But I have something in my head. But you have gone and made the private island.
Where my veranda is.
Where your veranda is.
Yes.
It's surrounded by veranda.
Yes.
Absolutely.
One
fine.
veranda on top of another. Yes. Verandas all the way down.
It's verandas all the way down, then turtles.
No turtles, just verandas.
Okay, it looks orangey,
Yes.
peachy, if you will.
Peachy.
You weren't sure about this.
I don't know. I'm intrigued.
You're not sure? Okay, well...
It's got things in it.
It's got things in it. Good. Okay, that's always a good start. Well, let's dive in to toasting the veranda.
Toasting the veranda.
Merry Christmas.
On my private island.
Okay.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh, that was just what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, see? You mock my island.
I do mock your island. It's more of a puddle. But the drinks, lovely,
Yeah.
lovely, lovely. The island shit, but the drinks are lovely.
Shush yourself. Last time you get invited.
I'm fine with that, honestly. Because like Nick's just out on his island. He's sitting in the middle of the Stour in a boat. No, that is crisp, nice and cold.
Yeah.
Nice and cold, fruity. Fruity. What do I detect there?
Oh.
All right. So what about? Is there rum in it?
Yes.
Because I saw all the bottles of rum in your kitchen. I'm
Yes.
sorry. So what else? Is there maraschino in that?
Yep.
Is there something else cherry based?
Yep.
Why is there cherries in this then? Liar. Lemon?
Yep.
Lime?
Yes.
Lime. Yes, I know the difference,
Well
you
done.
see. Right. Something else?
Surprisingly, yes.
Yes. Right,
Some
how many
other
more?
things. 3.
Including bitters?
No.
Oh, Jesus. Right. Triple sec?
No.
Fruity? Shall I stay with
Yes,
fruity?
Yeah, fruity.
Apricot.
Yes.
Apricot brandy?
Apricot brandy.
Apricot brandy. Is there like a nut?
Oh, you're not far off.
Am I though?
No, actually, I mean, if you got that without looking at bottles, I'm damn impressed.
I didn't look at bottles, I swear to God. Because I don't know, it feels like there's an almondy taste or something. Like, the cherry is not far from sort of almond and apricot.
I mean,
like,
fair play to you. If you got that,
oh, have I pleased you, sir? Finally, recognition. I don't want to go any further because I think like I ruin it. That.
you said exactly what it is.
And then almond?
Yes.
Yeah, almond syrup.
Yeah, an orge.
Oh, the orgeat. Yay! 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 I did. Yeah, I'm clever.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
refined.
I'm impressed.
Thank you. I feel like I should quit while I'm ahead.
There's one other thing which you won't get. It's in a it's in a small quantity, and it's not what's meant to be in there.
Okay.
I've had to sort of. So the recipe calls for what's called a rum agricole, which is and it's RHUM, not rum RUM.
Okay.
It's basically the same thing. Well, it's not the same thing. It's based on from sugarcane.
Yes.
But it's unrefined sugarcane.
Ah.
Whereas normal rums are from molasses and
Yes.
such like, and refined and filtered. Yeah, the rum agricole is pure sugarcane, neat sort of spirit.
Ooh. So you use what, cachaça?
So what I use on that one is I've got something called falernum, which is another sort of rum based spirit from Falernum's from Barbados.
Yeah.
It's got slightly more spice to it than a rum agricole. Is quite a clean thing, but it's the nearest sort of thing I had without just going for more rum. And I mean, it's a quarter of an ounce, so it's a very small quantity. So.
Oh, it's wonderful.
But it works. I mean, I'd say it'd be interesting to see what an original one of these is like, but this works very nicely.
This is lovely. You were so worried about this.
Yeah.
This is a
No,
delight.
this works well.
This is lovely. We were so ready for a disappointment. No, it's tasty. And I guessed a lot of things in
You
there.
did. You did
I
indeed.
did. I had a proud day.
Well done, you. Exactly. Big gold stickers for Sinead.
Yay! Well, with my big gold star, none of you got any. And a cocktail in hand,
Yes.
I think it is high time for us to have a story.
Yes, we probably should. Let's crack on with something.
Let's.
So today we have something local.
Ooh, okay.
Well, local for you and I.
Right. Because if it was for everyone
Yes,
listening,
local
that
for
would be
everyone.
weird.
It's in the world.
It's in this universe. Aren't you lucky?
We have a Kentish murder. And an unsolved one at that.
Oh, don't tell me that. Now I'm disappointed.
Okay. We have
Okay.
a Kentish murder.
Maybe solved.
This is the story of Caroline Luard.
Luard.
Yes, this is a story full of intrigue and tragedy.
Oh no.
And mystery.
And mystery. And verandas.
Mystery. And maybe a veranda.
Maybe.
Now, Caroline Mary Luard was born Caroline Hartley around 1850.
Aha.
Not sure of the exact date, but around 1850. She's the youngest daughter of Thomas Hartley, who was the local Justice of the Peace, and Georgiana Elizabeth Remington.
Oh, that's very nice.
Now, Caroline is born into one of the wealthiest families in the area.
Ooh.
Very, very, very wealthy through tin mining. And she has a rather idyllic childhood, really. She grows up, she's got 4 siblings, she's got 3 sisters and a brother, and they all grow up in Guildford Mansion.
Oh, okay. What's that?
It's a fancy house.
Oh, right, okay,
So
sorry.
it has since been demolished, so no longer exists.
right.
But yeah, Guildford Mansion. And there is an 1851 census about Guildford Mansion, and there are 15 people living in the mansion. So you've got 7 Hartleys and 8 staff.
Ooh, nice. One extra.
So yes,
one extra.
they've got a governess, a butler, a cook. There are 2 nurses and a couple of maids.
Oh, nice.
So yeah,
an under butler.
Yeah, so
the under the bed stairs, man.
They're doing quite well. So it's all really quite comfortable.
Put in play.
Now, at the age of 25, Caroline marries. She marries Charles Edward Luard. Now, Charles is 12 years older than Caroline.
Ew.
And he is, well, she's still 25, so it's not like I'm 25 and you're 6. So, as was the sign of the time.
Wasn't quite.
Not quite. But she was still 25 years old, so.
Yeah, she's practically dead. Yeah.
She's a spinster by this point, so
Indeed.
she's lucky to marry anyone.
Okay, right.
Now, Charles, he is a lifelong military man. Like his father and his grandfather before him, he has gone into the army. When he meets Caroline, he is a captain in the Royal Engineers, and he continued to serve in the army throughout their marriage. He's sent all over the world on various deployments, and he oversees construction of military buildings and fortifications and such like. When he eventually retires in 1887, he has obtained the rank of Major General. So he's quite a senior figure.
He is the very model of a modern Major General.
He is the very model of a modern Major General. Caroline and Charles would have 2 sons. Charles, who was born in 1876, and Eric, who comes along in 1878.
You don't get a lot of Erics in our stories,
No,
actually.
this is
I'm just
true,
going to point that out, yes.
And I have to say, Eric actually dies quite young.
Oh, God. Is it like, your name has no place in these tales?
So unfortunately, Eric doesn't last that long.
Poor Eric.
He becomes poorly and dies. Charles follows his father's footsteps and goes into the army, unsurprisingly. Now, while her husband is off armying, Caroline, she lives the life of a very respectable upper middle class sort of lady.
Wouldn't you?
She is well liked and well respected. She takes great interest in various charitable endeavours and volunteers and all sorts of places. Everything is just as it should be. Everything is idyllically perfect.
But is it, Nick?
So Charles retires from the army in 1887, and the family move to, I can never say this right.
What?
Item.
It's
Item, isn't it? Yeah.
Item. Spelled like
Igtham.
Yeah, Item, mate.
Yeah. The family moved to Item Knoll, a small but still suitably fancy country house in the teeny tiny village of Seal Chart.
Yes.
In Kent, which is near Sevenoaks, which is about 45 miles from Canterbury, where Sinead and I are.
And this is a very, very beautiful part of the world.
Beautifully. And countryside is lovely.
Lovely. And manor houses galore. Not full-on mansions. You're not talking like, Downton Abbey. No. But fancy.
But fancy houses.
Land.
Exactly. And they move into one of these properties. Indeed.
Yes.
So,
they're going, look at all the land we have.
It's not Chatsworth. But it's a damn good house.
You would be pretty happy there.
Yeah.
If you turned up there, you'd be like, oh, they're doing quite well.
And of course they have staff. They have cooks and maids and what have you, and it's all lovely. So Charles settles into his retirement. He loves his golf. He serves as a local politician. He's on the Kent County Council.
Ew.
He's a governor of the local school.
Rich people are bored, aren't they?
Exactly.
Rich people do a lot of nice things.
And he's been in the military for all his life. He's been used to doing stuff and being involved in things.
Keeping busy,
And keeping busy. So in retirement, I suppose, yes, you need to keep on doing things. In 1901, he founds the Society of Miniature Rifle Clubs.
What?
Miniature Rifle Clubs, yes.
Miniature rifles. Are they tiny
I think they're
rifles?
tiny rifles.
And they bring them along going, I have a small rifle. Would you like to see it? Bang!
A couple of years later, he founds the Patriotic Society for good old British patriots.
I mean, sure, but no, but also no. So Patriotic Society, that's just men together, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Patriotic Society, we love England, Queen and country, let's all have port.
It seems to be, yes, quite a sort of ex-military, sort of high ranks sort of get together, drinking port, reminiscing about the old days with the colonies and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I tell you, the rich have got they surely do have time on their hands.
I mean, Caroline, she continues her charity work, her volunteer work.
As a lady should.
As a lady should. And
none of that reading.
She is quickly accepted into local society. Everyone remarks on how lovely and friendly and helpful and kind she was. Both of the couple were a delight to be around. And it seems they are quite ready and happy to sort of settle into their sort of retirement, their golden years, living in Item. It's going to be delightful.
Yes, it does sound very nice.
Until.
Oh, no. They made a list of their plans or something like that. And said, yes, you'll be doing this. Wait a minute, why is there a huge, like, ellipsis across this page? What's going to happen?
What's going to happen there?
Well, I don't know, actually.
Yeah. Shall we find out?
Shall we find out?
On the 24th of August, 1908, it's around about 2:30 in the afternoon, and Caroline and Charles leave their home to take their dog for a walk.
Nice. What kind of dog is it?
They've got a little terrier. Caroline's got a little terrier. Yes, they're going to walk through the woodland surrounding the property. Charles plans to walk a bit further. He's going to walk a short while with his wife, and then he's going to set off to his nearby golf club. He needs to go and pick up his clubs because they're actually planning a holiday.
Oh, okay.
To go away in a few days, and he needs his clubs.
Oh, yeah.
Can't go on holiday without his golf clubs.
Otherwise, the wife will just be like...
Exactly. So, yeah, he's going to go and pick up his golf clubs and head home. Caroline, she's just out, get a bit of air, bit of exercise.
Walk the dog.
Walk the dog, indeed. Her route is one that she has walked countless times before. Takes her through small little copse, past a neighbour's summer house before returning back to the house. Yeah. And she is due back at the house at 4 p.m. She's got a friend, Mrs. Stewart, that's coming for afternoon tea.
Oh, lovely.
So, yes, so she must be back by 4 for afternoon tea. So, yeah, the pair, they walk for around a mile or so, and they just pass the church, and this is where they go their separate ways. Charles continues on to get his golf clubs. Caroline continues her usual route to return home. On the way, Charles, as he walks down to the club, he bumps into a couple of locals on his stroll, and it takes him around 35 minutes to arrive at the golf club. He spends a bit of time at the club, just sort of catching up with some members who are there, some friends.
Bants.
Yeah, exactly, bants with the lads. And just as he's leaving, he bumps into the local vicar, a Reverend Cotton. More bants with the Reverend.
More bants with the Reverend loves a round of golf.
He loves it.
You rapscallion, you.
Reverend is passing in his motor car, and he sees
Sorry,
Charles
what was he passing in?
In his motor car.
His motor car. Oh, right.
And he sees Charles with his clubs, and he offers to give Charles a lift home.
Nice.
Charles readily agrees, so he doesn't have to lug these clubs back for half an hour across some fields. The Reverend drops Charles and his clubs back at Item Knoll around 4:30. That afternoon. So he's been gone about 2 hours or so. As he enters the house, he finds Mrs. Stewart in the parlour waiting.
Oh.
Waiting for Caroline and waiting for her afternoon tea.
Is that what she says?
Yes. Where is Caroline? Where is my tea? I expect cake when I come here.
You turn up to meet someone like, they're not here. Also, there was supposed to be cake.
There was supposed to be cake.
I'm here mainly for the tea. She's
yes.
quite boring.
Exactly. If the servants refuse to bring me cake without her being here, so I'm still here. Been waiting half an hour. Where's my fucking cake? So Charles has a chat with the servants. And discovers that Caroline hasn't returned to the house. No one has seen her since they left at 2:30 together. It's the last time she was seen by any of the servants in the house. Now, Charles is obviously concerned about the whereabouts of his wife. What is going on? He is well aware of her usual walking route, so he sets off to retrace her steps to see if has she had an accident? Has she fallen somewhere? Or what's going on? As he followed the usual route, her trail, and approaches the summer house, he hears a dog barking.
Oh no.
The summer house, which was known as La Casa locally, is actually owned by the Wilkinson family, who own the next door Frankfield House. It's called, is then the next door property. So yeah, the lands border that of Iton Knoll. It's a small little bungalow, really. It's not like a summer house as we would think it today in your back garden. It's quite a decent sort of structure.
Yeah.
It's not often used, but they've got a sort of like an understanding that both families can use it as and when they need to or want to, really.
Yeah.
They can make use of this place. So Charles is well aware of the layout and what it is. As he approaches La Casa, he sees Caroline's small little terrier dog barking on the steps.
Oh.
And on the veranda lies the lifeless body of Caroline Luard.
Veranda.
Sorry. Death on the veranda.
Death on the veranda. Oh my god. That should have been the cocktail. Clearly, you could have made one up. Also, a woman is dead. I'm so sorry. Oh no. Oh, that's heartbreaking. The little dog.
The little dog there barking, sort of guarding over his mistress.
No.
Barking, trying to get someone's attention.
Oh no.
Now,
she's on the veranda.
Charles sees his wife dead on the veranda.
How does he know she's dead?
He does approach his wife, and he sees that there is massive wounds to her head and blood spilling out over the wood on the floor. So he is, yes, and she is quite clearly dead. Oof. He runs to a nearby house to call the authorities, and soon the woods are filled with police and those who have come to gawp at the lady dead on the veranda. That's a nice bit of gossip there. It is quickly established that Caroline had been shot twice.
Shot?
Shot in the head twice, with either one would have killed her instantly. Either shot would have killed her instantly.
Wow.
Her gloves had been pulled off and the rings on her fingers had been removed.
Okay.
A pocket on her dress was ripped open and her purse was missing.
Okay.
The summer house itself was still all locked up. And it looked like no one had been in there for months and months and months. No. So it just seems to be coincidence that it was on this veranda. The only evidence that they were able to find was a set of footprints in the mud, leading away from the veranda, disappearing into the trees. Once it got into the foliage, they were not able to trace it any further.
The person climbed the trees.
Or maybe they climbed the trees, or they just went through the fields, and they cannot trace this person. Mm-hmm. Now, the initial assumption is that this has been a robbery with a tragic end. Caroline had happened upon a wandering thief or vagabond in the woods who had demanded her jewelleries and her valuables.
Yeah.
She had refused, and the weapon had been drawn. We know what happened there. Police spoke to a variety of locals, and 2 witnesses came forward to say that they had heard 3 gunshots at around 3:15 that afternoon.
3 gunshots?
3 gunshots.
Okay.
Yeah, Annie Wickham and David Kettle both remembered hearing the shots, and they thought they had come from the direction of sort of the summer house, the woods, in that direction. But at the time, neither of them had thought much of it. Hunting parties were quite regular around there.
Yeah.
So it was assumed it was just a hunting party, shooting for birds or whatever they were going after. So the sounds of gunfire was not unusual, really. So you don't assume someone's been murdered.
I mean, you probably wouldn't actually remember gunshot there because it's so normal in the countryside at that time. It's like, oh, someone's out shooting.
Yep.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, but these 2 people remember three gunshots around 3:15. But yeah, sorry, we didn't tell anyone. Now, the murder of the wife of a prominent local gentleman, because obviously she's not important by herself. She's important. She's important because he's a prominent gentleman. Soon,
do the miniature rifle club come out with their miniature rifles and just stand guard? Don't worry, we've got this locked down. The police just slapping them out of the house, like, stop it.
So news of this soon hits the papers, and detectives from Scotland Yard are drafted down to Item.
Oh, well, now, money will get you there.
Yeah, well, it is actually said that he does actually have some friends in quite high places. It's actually, there was one report that he was actually friends with Churchill, who was Home Secretary at the time. So he's obviously seen as quite an important chap. So yeah, they get the big guns out to try and find out what's going on.
Literally.
So yeah, Scotland Yard head down there. They're on the scene. They bring bloodhounds down.
Great.
As well.
Great. We could have had a bloodhound.
2 bloodhounds named Scepter and Slofenio.
Shut up. What?
Are the 2 bloodhounds.
Oh my god, this is one of the first times the dogs have been named.
The dogs have got names.
Scepter
and Solfenio.
Sulfur, so like sulfur.
Solferino.
Oh, S-O-L.
S-O-L-F-E-R-I-N-O.
Oh, don't know.
Solfenio.
Solfenio. So like the burning sun.
Yes, let's go with that.
Let's go with the dog.
Any Italians out there who want to translate that?
Please
or something,
do.
Then go for it.
Is the dog is like, here's the burning sun. The dog's like,
But yeah. So yeah, they're brought in.
Nick, we could have had any other number of the bloodhound cocktails. You do realise that, don't you?
We've already had 2.
3 or 4. This was lovely.
I mean, yeah.
But it was lucky because it was tenuous at best.
They're pleasing some people.
No, there isn't. No.
I'd have to get a veranda in there somehow.
The veranda's great. The private island, less so.
Shush yourself. You got some bloodhounds out of it.
I'm picturing them now.
So they are brought in to sniff out the route by which the killer has made their escape.
Oh, they're like a Disney duo. I love it.
Yeah, unfortunately, as soon as the trail hits the main road, they go, oh, we don't know.
Did they say that?
They say that. So, we don't know. Could be that way, we don't know. So, go home, dogs. You're useless.
The dogs are shot just there. Like, well, it's a road. Like, he can't help it. No. Why did we bring these dogs?
So the dogs, no, you're useless dogs. Off you go.
The dogs did their best.
The initial inquest into Caroline's death is held at her home in Ightham Knoll on the 26th of August. Dr. Mansfield has carried out a post-mortem examination of the body, and he reports that Caroline has been hit on the back of the head, and the blow had been of sufficient force to knock her to the ground, where she vomited when she was on the ground.
Well, it's not
her killer had then shot her behind the right ear, and then a second shot been fired into her left cheek.
Jesus.
So, yeah. So while she was lying,
so just two in the head.
Ground.
Okay, two in the head.
Indeed.
Not well.
Yeah. Now, prior to the inquest, detectives had asked Charles to write sort of a detailed account of the events of the afternoon, just sort of what had happened with your wife and things like that. Just give us as much detail as you can. Yeah. And he has questioned at great length about his and his wife's movements on that afternoon.
Yeah.
He describes the moment that he discovers his wife's body on the veranda. He said,
"You're really working in the veranda there."
The veranda. He said, "I then examined the dress and found that it was torn. Her pocket at the back of the skirt had been torn open. One of her gloves, which was lying near, was inside out, as though it had been torn off.
Yeah.
She had both gloves on when she left me. I then looked at her hands and saw that her rings were missing. She wore all her rings on the left hand and always wore them except when she washed her hands. One of the rings was over 100 years old. It was an heirloom given to her by her mother."
So never would have taken it off.
So yeah,
okay,
she
never.
Yeah, unless she was bathing, her rings always on her hands, and they had all been taken.
So I'm trying to find a pen.
Yeah, you're trying. Well, let's have a break. I think it's time for a break.
Oh, I think it's time for more drinks.
More drinks. You need to find a pen.
I need to find a pen. I have notes.
You have notes to take, indeed.
Nick, we have our drinks.
We do, and you have your pen.
I have my pen.
That's
I have my pen.
That's the important thing.
I just had a flurry of thoughts during that, and
I saw
they
you
may make no
looking for
sense.
a pen, going, I must take notes.
It sometimes happens if you have a couple of drinks, and I go, no, I can't lose this train of thought. I must write it down immediately, and then I look back and go, dog soldiers, what? I've written things down. Maybe they will make sense later.
Good to know. We'll come back to that.
Let's
see what happens.
But okay, so he's given testimony about his wife and where she was seen. How he saw her when he'd left her.
How he discovered her, absolutely.
Yes.
Now, outside the inquest, locals are beginning to talk.
Are they?
There are no immediate suspects that fingers are being pointed at. So, it must be Charles. It must be Charles. It must be Charles, and rumours begin to swirl.
Okay.
He had been out in the woods when his wife was murdered. He was the last person to see her alive. He was the one who found the body. Quite convenient. He was a military man. He was an excellent shot. He had firearms in the house.
That was one of the things I wrote down.
Ah, there we go.
But I have a counter to that.
Okay, good.
Yes. Do you want me to hang on to that?
Go for it if you want.
Well, okay, so the fact that she was shot in the side of the head and then in the kind of the cheek. In the cheek, it was like, okay, that seems a bit chaotic because that's not how you execute someone apparently at point blank range. If she was hit over the head,
she's lying on the floor at this point and then being shot at from above.
Indeed, so it implies someone who doesn't know what they're doing, unless you know that if you fire a gun at someone's head, he would know how to take someone out in two shots.
Yeah. Is it a ruse?
Is it a ruse to make sure that she is dead? But looks chaotic.
Yeah, that's what people start to think about the robbery of the rings and the purse. It's just to throw people off the scent. Make you think it's a robbery, because it's interesting that only her left glove is removed, which is where the rings are. She doesn't. She only wears, as he's testified, she only ever wears rings on her left hand. So how did the culprit, the perpetrator, know to only remove her left glove?
Well, wedding ring, and engagement ring. I suppose that would be.
But wouldn't if you're robbing someone, wouldn't you check when you take their other glove off?
Yes, that would be the logic there. It's you will definitely find rings on one hand, but may as well go to the second.
Wouldn't you? Yeah, wouldn't you check the other one?
Yeah.
Unless you knew that she never wore rings on her right hand. So people start to think, and suddenly people Charles has known for 20 years.
Yeah.
Are accusing him of murdering his own wife. Within a week of the murder, Charles is receiving daily letters accusing him of murdering his wife and threatening revenge. So these are anonymous letters going, "We know you done it."
Those are more notes. Letters implies, dearest Charles.
Dearest Charles.
You bastard.
Yes.
Yours with the
You
fondest
murdering
regards.
fucker.
We hope to see you soon for tea.
Yeah.
Signed, a man.
I mean, other rumours start circulating that Charles had been having an affair with a local lady.
Not a lady.
That he had murdered his wife to enable him to elope with his new love.
It's just extreme, but
Yeah,
it's happened before.
No one ever came forward. No one ever said, "Oh yes,
Surprisingly,
it's that woman."
no. Yeah.
Or anything. But yeah, just these rumours just came out of nowhere. But it's a good story. It's a good story.
It's one of those, I reckon that.
Yeah. Charles vigorously denies any involvement with his wife's death. He is utterly devastated by the loss of they've been married for 33 years, and he is absolutely devastated by her loss. The inquest resumes a fortnight later, this time at the George and Dragon Inn, so thankfully not at the house, and the theory that Charles is the guilty party is put to the test.
Yeah.
In front of everyone. Now, we know that she was killed around 3:15 in the afternoon. That's when the gunshots were heard by 2 witnesses. Now, in Charles's defence, several people testify, well, we met Charles on the way to the golf club at 3:15. At that sort of time, there was no way that he could have been in 2 places at once or have run from one to the other. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. He did not have time to go and murder his wife and then get to the club. The Reverend Cotton testifies that Charles had been relaxed and cheerful and in good humour in the car ride home with his clubs. Would he have been like that if he just shot his wife half an hour before? Maybe, but the Reverend
he would have to be one of the smoothest psychopaths.
Yeah, and the Reverend, who has known him for a good number of years, says no, he was just his normal self.
Yeah,
he was just Charles having a chat in the car.
Unless they were all in on it.
When it comes to the guns, Charles voluntarily submits his 3 revolvers that he's got in the house for examination. He says, take them, test them, whatever. They bring in a gun expert, a chap called Edwin Churchill, and he reports that he examines the bullets that have been recovered from Caroline's body, and he concludes that they have come from a .32 revolver caliber, and they have actually been fired when the gun is no more than a few inches away from the head, so really close range.
Whoa.
So that's someone leaning over a woman on the floor and firing a few inches away, so mega close range. And he tests Charles's guns. None of them are the same caliber. None of them could have fired the bullets that were responsible for Caroline's death. No one in authority believed that Charles was responsible for his wife's death. A magistrate at the time is quoted in the press as saying, both the general and his wife were greatly esteemed in the district and were frequently to be seen in company on their walks. Yeah. They were evidently very much attracted to each other. To my knowledge, Mrs. Luard was often in the sealed chart woods. She loved the place on account of its quietness. The deceased lady was a generous benefactress in the district and was so loved by all that it is inconceivable that anyone knowing her would desire to do her an injury. Was it the work of a maniac? It very much looks like it.
Wow.
So this theory that it was just some random person walking through the woods with a revolver just happened upon her there. Now, but even the alibi and this expert testimony saying, no, it wasn't Charles's guns, he wasn't there, it doesn't stop local gossip. Police really hope that a real lead in the case is going to quieten these rumours, but they come up with nothing. They hope that, well, the fabric that's missing from her torn dress, perhaps if that comes up, that's discovered somewhere in a hedge outside someone's garden or something, it's going to point in the right direction.
Yes, the hedge did it.
The hedge did it. But on the day of the funeral, a maid is cleaning out the room where Caroline's body has been brought, and as she shakes out the sheets that had been used to ferry her from the veranda,
they find my god,
the pocket, the torn cloth sort of flutters to the floor. It had been there.
It was there the whole time,
and just never noticed.
Oh, for God's sake!
But then they think, well, maybe the stolen jewellery. So Charles has given them quite.
So it must have been pawned.
Charles has given them a description of the rings that have been stolen, and they circulate these descriptions, to local pawnbrokers, local dealers, thinking, if someone's just robbed them, they're going to go to the nearest place they can to get the cash for them. They want to get rid of them. Nothing. Yeah. No one reports having seen anything, having been offered anything like the jewellery, and the jewellery is never seen again. These rings never surface.
Okay.
Reverend Cotton himself, the vicar who had been with Charles, he reports seeing a well-dressed man with a somewhat repulsive face leaving the woodland via a gate near the road just a few minutes after these shots were heard. This man is never traced. No one knows who this man is.
What? That someone comes to that was Bob.
Yes. So yeah,
he's tended to your land for the last 10 years, Reverend.
If the Reverend had recognised him, he would say, no, that's Bob, not the man with the repulsive face.
If you ever met a Reverend, actually, like he meets everyone like every single week and pretends he knows them and goes, a man with a repulsive face, you bastard. That's just my nose.
Now, the investigation starts to stall, really, and continues to turn up no leads as to who the true killer is. Charles's hope about finding out who has killed his wife really begins to dwindle. His status in the community is wrecked, damaged beyond repair from these gossip and these rumours. He can hardly leave his house without people pointing and whispering and shouting at him. He's decided he's got to leave the area. He's got to get out. So he puts his home up for sale. But of course, this only exacerbates things and increases the gossip that now he's fleeing the scene. He must have something to hide if he's now legging it. So
why would you want to stay the place where your wife was murdered?
Why would you want to stay in the place where
where you have memories, where you're in the house where you built a life together?
Yeah, and people who you thought were friends were now accusing you of murder. Why would you want to stay there?
Why would you want to stay?
But now this is just evidence of him fleeing and running away. Friends who had stuck by him say that he had aged 10 years in the matter of weeks. He had just aged. He was invited to go and stay with a friend. Sir Charles Ward. He is the local MP.
Of course,
and he's the brother of Kent's police chief constable.
Oh, okay.
So he's got the connections.
Yeah, he's a good person to stay with, isn't he?
Now, Charles and Caroline's surviving son, another Charles, he at the time was on a posting in South Africa in the army. As soon as the news about his mother's death was announced, he was recalled, and he is due to meet his father at Charles Ward's home on the 18th of September. That morning, the morning of the 18th, Charles was seen by servants to have woken early. He had breakfast and he wrote a couple of letters, one to his host, Charles Ward, and another to his son.
Okay. He
then leaves the house and he walks following the railway line down to Teston, a little village called Teston.
Right.
There, now I'm going to say this gets unpleasant, there he conceals himself in some bushes. And as the 909 train from Maidstone West approaches, he steps onto the line.
Jesus!
He is killed instantly. He has pinned a note to his coat saying, "Whoever finds me, take me to Colonel Ward," where he had been saying. One of the letters that was found at the house reads, "I am sick of the scandalous and lying reports. I cannot face my son, whom I'd arranged to meet today, and have decided to end my life." An inquest would later find he died of suicide while temporarily insane. Of course, others say it points to a guilty conscience. It must have been him. The eventual verdict of the inquest into Caroline's death is murder by person or persons unknown. The coroner says, never has there been a case in which the police have been so much in the dark and unable to find any trace of the murderer or any available clue as to who did the crime. The Maidstone and Kentish Journal condemns the people who have written these letters to Charles, and they say 2 murders have been committed in Kent this month. Mrs. Luard was killed with a pistol. General Luard was killed with a pen. Which I like that.
Well done, that
well
journalist.
Done, Maidstone.
You got your bonus that month.
Exactly. In 1909, a year after the crime, Daniel Woodruff, a 62-year-old convict, is arrested and hauled before the magistrates in Sevenoaks, charged with the murder of Caroline Luard. Have they eventually found the person responsible? The superintendent, a chap called Albert Taylor, stands in front of the magistrate and declares that Chief Constable Henry Ward, now this is the brother of Charles Ward who put up Charles Luard, he has got concrete evidence that Woodruff was behind Caroline's murder. He was the culprit. He had done this. The magistrate says, can we see this evidence? What is this evidence? No, I can't tell you.
What?
It's secret.
What? Shut up.
The magistrate, unsurprisingly, lets Woodruff go. And it is later found that he'd actually been in prison on the day of the murder.
What the fuck is going on with that other person?
The evidence appears to have been that this man has, at some point in his past, assaulted some people, and at some point he may have owned a revolver.
Is this the person trying to assign blame? Trying to find someone,
exactly.
but it's a secret.
This is someone trying to assign blame, trying to take the heat off a friend.
Trying to clear his name.
By pinning it on anyone they can.
Wow.
The murder of Caroline Luard on the veranda. Remains unsolved. And there we go.
Da, 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 da. An
unsolved murder and a tragic, sad story.
That is a lot. Oh, there's a lot going on there.
There's a lot going on there.
Ooh, that's an interesting story. The way you presented it as well, fair play. That present it in a more dastardly tone, that story, as we've done in the past. Like, the husband definitely did it.
You could indeed portray it as the husband did it. But I really don't think he did.
Well, there's lots of things to sort of say, okay, there's lots of coincidences. There's lots of hearsay and circumstantial evidence that the way she was shot, is it to mask the fact this person knew exactly how to shoot someone? How did they know she'd had rings on that finger? Why were they were seen in all these places just beforehand and afterwards? Isn't that a massive coincidence? It is a massive coincidence. Of course someone would go for the left hand to get your rings because there'd be rings on that. You're more likely to get that. And also, if you've just fired a gun, you're going to be under pressure.
There's a time pressure there.
Yeah, there's a time pressure.
You can feel if someone's got rings under a glove as well.
Yeah,
I suppose,
but famously,
so,
yes, you can. Unless there are those great mutton gloves, you have. Yeah, and them being seen around and then being seen in town and everything like that. If they walked together, maybe they were just very close in marriage.
Absolutely. They were just taking their dog for a walk.
It's really sad to think that, he was planning her murder. Yeah. Like, they like to spend time together.
They were just... She was taking the dog for a walk. I'm going to go and get my golf clubs. Yeah. Let's walk for a bit as we're going in the same direction. And then we'll go our separate ways. Yeah. It doesn't seem unreasonable.
Exactly, yeah. Really. Well, maybe it was. Maybe it's like, what's he doing with his wife? Why is he with his mistress?
Spending time with the woman he loves. What's going on there?
Exactly. Gross. Oh,
disgusting behaviour.
Disgusting. I mean, you could also imply that because he's rich, I'm sure many people would lean into, well, he had friends in high places.
She was rich as well. She was from an incredibly wealthy family as well. So she had her own money. But if something went
wrong, then yes, you would want to cover it up. You would you look after your own, cover up the scandal.
Oh, he certainly had the connections, absolutely.
Yeah, if you wanted to cover something up. Yeah.
So,
but then him going down and jumping in front of a train, that's weird.
I don't know.
No, that's weird as in it's sad.
I think it's definitely on the day that he was meant to meet his son, who had come back from South Africa. It was that day that he was meant to. His son was arriving in Southampton, and he decides, I can't do it.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it's horrendously sad.
It's very sad. A lot of people would go, okay, if he was doing that on that day, that meant he must have a guilty conscience.
Yeah, absolutely, and a lot of people did.
Let's not delve too much into it. Taking your own life does not have any rhyme or reason to it often, and sometimes what looks like oh my god, that's a signal, means nothing. It means that someone made a decision that day.
Yeah.
Or maybe he couldn't face his son. Maybe he couldn't face his son, but had left those notes going, can't do that. I mean, to end your life that way.
I mean, to be obviously. I mean,
either way,
taking the absolutely sort of romantic view of the whole thing. That obviously he's a woman that he had loved for been married for 30 odd years or so, and then she had been brutally murdered.
Yeah.
And then everyone saying you did it. And being forced to leave a home where he had friends that then turned around and accused him of all this, and still seeing his name in the papers of, oh, this bastard did it, but there's no proof, but he did it. And that's going to take its toll.
Unquestionably.
Yeah. But then, as you say, I mean, is it, or was it something that he couldn't face his son because he had? Because he had killed his wife and his son's mother. So, well, no, I can't have that conversation. All
of it is opinion. All of it is pure conjecture.
It is.
None of it is set in stone, and none of it is a commentary about anyone else's life or any other circumstances around that. So let's make it very clear: we're only talking about this case, which we are looking at very much from the future. But I mean, you could go either or on either way. anyone who felt one strong opinion could find a million reasons to say he absolutely did it. If you felt the other side, you could find a million reasons to say he didn't.
Very true.
But maybe this was a case of a woman just being...
Is it just wrong place, wrong time?
Wrong place, wrong time. Someone who was just... She was very wealthy. Maybe... Yeah. Who would think that a woman was carrying that much wealth in the fucking woods?
Yeah, taking your dog for a walk. Taking a little terrier for a walk.
Yeah, maybe you have... If you get lucky with a hefty jewel... Yeah. If you're that wealthy, you're going to have a big old diamond rings or engagement ring that's been passed down that is worth a lot of money. Maybe you're wearing your finest pendant.
But you're not going to be wearing your tiaras and sort of your...
Isn't that enough? Really expensive ring, will set you up. That's all they needed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, it's a thinker.
It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one, and it's a sad one.
It is well, you've sided very much on his side.
I have on this one. I don't know why, but the accounts I've read, I've very much sided with him.
And it would be awful to think that this was someone who, with their partner, if they'd lost them, experienced that loss, and then everyone went, well, I reckon something. I mean, you don't have to look really far today in any case that touches modern press. People have a million and one theories about what could have happened. So there we go. Well, what do you think, people? What do you think of this murder mystery in Kent? What do you think of the story? Do you have a side that you fall on? You don't have to have a side that you fall on. You can just have an opinion. But yeah, people at the time definitely did. People thought, oh, it was the husband 100%, and other people thinking, no, he was innocent. But who killed Caroline? Do you have theories? Do you have thoughts about it? Do you think the husband was innocent? Do you think that it was a great scheme and that guilt caught up with him in the end?
Maybe.
Tell us what you think. Jump on the comments of this episode. Share your thoughts, your feelings, your theories, your musings, and some car beeps as well. That just happened. And also, it's pedestrianised outside of Nick's house, so I don't know where that car came from. Tell us everything you think about this episode, and there they go again. Really, why is this happening? Do share your thoughts about this episode, but most importantly, send us suggestions of cocktails that would fit with this story.
Rude.
But also mix up a private island. Because it was a delight.
It was damn tasty.
It was very, very tasty. It was a weird process that we got there.
But we got there.
We got there and it was tasty.
With a tasty drink.
It was very, very tasty.
The recipe will be out this evening, so give it a go. It's got some nice stuff in there.
If you have the ingredients, mix it up. If you don't have the ingredients, send us pictures of cocktails you are enjoying, either at home or in bars around the world. Keep sending suggestions of stories we can cover on The Poisoner's Cabinet. If you haven't already, please do consider joining us on patreon.com/The Poisoner's Cabinet, where we share extra stories every single week, as well as lots of bonus content. And tell your friends by leaving a 5-star review on Apple iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, guys. We have been the people inside The Poisoner's Cabinet. We will see you next week. And remember, your loved ones are trying to kill you.